I want to welcome everybody who's joining us here at the DelDOT Administrative Building in Dover. I want to welcome all of you that are joining us online. What you have before you is, or should have before you, is today's meeting agenda for the January 21st, 2026 meeting of the Delaware Aviation Advisory Council. Our first item on the agenda includes welcome and introductions. We've got a couple of other items under that topic. Let's go ahead and go around the table here at the administrative building and introduce ourselves. Austin, let's start with you.
Austin Gray, Assistant Director of DelDOT Planning.
Lydia Campbell, Admin Assistant, DelDOT.
Bruce Allen, Supervisor with DelDOT Division of Planning.
Gina Elias, and Planner 1 of the Division of Planning.
Luke Farnsworth, representing Dover Air Force Base, and my supervisor is Dominic Malone.
Joel Hussein, Director of Aviation Program at Delaware State.
Bob Bryant, Airport Manager, Delaware Coastal Airport.
Peyton McNamara, work for Jeff.
Jeff Corman, Corman's Airport.
That finishes introductions for folks that are here at the administrative building. Who do we have online? I guess just jump in if it's open.
How you doing? This Jeremiah Hardy with Summit Aviation, the facilities manager.
Rana Wiedemann, R.A. Wiedemann Associates.
So we also just had Lee Christian join also from R.A. Wiedemann.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that must be an affirmative then. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Next up, under welcome and introductions, Austin, you typically take over the role and purposes.
Yep.
For attendance and staff updates.
I'll go from there. So, as you all know, hopefully by now, DelDOT's mission is excellent transportation for every trip, every mode, every dollar, and every one. We say this in front of every presentation. So, if you're not used to hearing it, I hope you get used to hearing it. We also present the latest traffic fatality numbers for the year to date. Us only being 21 days into the new year, obviously we don't see much of a trend right now. We're one fatality below where we were at this time last year. We ended 2025 at 117 fatalities on our roadways compared to 130 the year before. So a slight decrease, trending in the right direction. The goal is always 0. And we make sure we share that message with everybody, including our councils and folks like you all who may not have with the aviation system a direct role in supporting that mission necessarily, but you all are partners in our transportation industry and our network, and we want to make sure that the message gets to everybody. You've also seen this now for maybe the past year or so. This is a new policy the department's adopted called the Safe System Approach, recognizing that there are a lot of different elements to how we be more proactive in addressing safety challenges on our transportation network. So doing more to implement safer vehicles, safer speeds, safer land uses, safer roads, post-crash care, safer people. And on the side of the circle, you'll see those principles, right? So those are the things we're striving to and trying to acknowledge more in the work that we're doing. Excuse me. I'll go through some of the program overview. The mission of DelDOT Aeronautics is to enhance Delaware's economic development by promoting a safe, efficient aviation system for people, goods, and services. There are 7 key goals: safety and security, economic vitality, quality of life, system preservation. I've got 2 more people in the wing. Let me admit them. Hassan Alexander is online. Safety and security, economic vitality, quality of life, system preservation, system management, travel and tourism, and customer service. Those are the goals of the DelDOT Aviation program. And then a program overview of current responsibilities. So DelDOT is responsible for conducting statewide system planning projects. So you'll see a list of some recent current projects that we've done, system planning projects. We also provide infrastructure funding to the NIPIAS and non-NIPIAS facilities in the state through various funding programs. We conduct licensing inspections annually. Excuse me. And We also conduct airspace obstruction reviews for anyone that is looking to build within regulated airspace. The last bullet, others is requested by DAAC. You all, as members of the council, have the ability to say, DelDOT, I want to see you do more of this kind of thing, right? We build that into our program over time. Just an overview of the system within the state. We've got 10 public use facilities. 3 of them are publicly owned. So there's Wilmington Airport, which is owned by Newcastle County. There's Delaware Air Park, which is owned by the state. There's Delaware Coastal Airport, which is owned by Sussex County. Only one of those has commercial service, that's Wilmington Airport. Then there are 6 privately owned facilities throughout the state. Those are Summit Airport, Smyrna Airport, Shandell Airport, Corman Airport, Jenkins Airport, and Laurel Airport. I think I got all of those. There's a helipad right out front of our building here. And then there's also the Dover Air Force Base and the Civil Air Terminal. There are also about 30, maybe even more, privately owned private use facilities. Those are not regulated by the state in any capacity. Going over the DAAC role and purpose. DAAC is a part of the state code, so you all are here not because we just said, hey, let's put this cool body together, but because it's literally in the state law that we have to have this council. Responsibilities include supporting the department in planning and implementation of the aviation system, supporting and promoting aviation education, recommending new or improvements to existing locations, facilities, programs, projects, equipment, and recommending anything else to improve aviation in the state. There are 9 members on the DAAC. There's a fixed-based operator, a representative from the DRBA, an aviation education representative, a representative from corporate aviation, 1 representative from each of the counties, and then 2 members selected at large. Some other roles and purposes of the council. Council may create and maintain an annual work plan. Council may create any reports or documents that support the business of the council. And council may form any number of committees or working groups to conduct the business of the council. Lydia, would you mind just going through the attendance sheet again?
Yep. Jeff Corman.
Here.
Calvin Lassette.
Here.
Richard Horseman. Robert Bryant.
Here.
Jeremiah Hardy.
I'm here.
Sans Alexander.
Here.
And for Matt Jordan, we have Lieutenant Farnsworth. Nick Ryan is not here, and Ben Clendaniel.
Some DelDOT staff updates. The only thing I want to do is introduce Ms. Gina Elias. She is a new planner with DelDOT. She's been with us since October. She is going to be assuming the role of our intermodal transportation planner, so working on all things freight, rail, and aviation within DelDOT. So she's done a great job at some of the work that we've given her so far, and she'll be presenting with Bruce in a little bit. So.
Deal.
Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to item 2, old business, approval of the meeting minutes from our October 22nd, 2025 meeting. If you don't have the minutes in front of you, just a quick summary. We had a similar welcome and introductions. Austin covered mission and goals, responsibilities of the aeronautics office, role and purposes. He also gave us a staff update on his attending the recent NASEO conference, some of the new business items that were included in the minutes, a breakdown of project costs and the state's aeronautics funding program for 26 and 27. Had an update from Del State University on the Center of Advanced Air Mobility. Also had Randall give us an update on the status of the statewide aviation system plan update. And as usual, we finished the October meeting with member updates. Can I have a motion for approval of the minutes? And please state your name.
Jeff Corman, I'll make a motion to
Thank
approve
you.
the minutes.
Thank you.
Lasan Alexander, second.
Perfect. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Perfect. Minutes are approved. Item 3, new business, state funding program update. Austin, I assume that's yours also. Good.
And it looks like we have Ben Clendaniel online, maybe?
Yeah, Austin, it's Ben Clendaniel.
Thank you. Okay, so I will move into our new business. I'll give an update on the state funding program. I think last we had discussed, in October, we had received some, project applications from. Sorry, there are people outside. We had received 3 project applications. They were all from Corman Airport. So as a reminder, we open up a application period every year for the airports in the state that are not eligible for federal funding, to receive funding from the state to support projects. Projects that are non-revenue producing are funded at a ratio of 90% to 10%. 90% state funded, 10% of the airport sponsor. Projects that are revenue producing 50-50, with the assumption that that revenue is then used to support the cost of the project over time. So we received 3 applications in the fall, each from Corman Airport. We selected the end of runway tree clearing project for funding, and that funding is being processed now. So I've kept Jeff in the loop about what the status of that is, and should be ready to go on that project by the end of the month, if not sooner.
That's what I told the contractors. I really appreciate it.
I think I mentioned this briefly last time as well, but I am looking to change the cycle to align more closely with what the FAA does with their projects. They open their application period for projects in the spring, and award grants usually in the summer, with the thought that a lot of projects are going to be projects that need to be done in warmer weather months. So what I have proposed is for the application period to now open in March, beginning of March, close to the end of March. That would give DelDOT staff about 2 weeks to conduct the scoring process that would rank all of the project applications that we receive. I'd like to bring the DAAC into this process, make sure you have an opportunity to review and approve whatever the department's going to be funding. So the thought is to then have the DAAC vote at the April meeting on that. May and June, we set up project award letters. We asked this project sponsor, the airport, to get us a new quote, make sure it's the most up-to-date quote. Set up the agreement letter between the department and the airport. Those get executed, go back and forth, and then the department sets up the funding on our end. Meaning that come July 1st, the new fiscal year starts. We hope to issue the notice to proceed and for that work to begin. And then after that, after that, the airport project sponsor can then submit requests for reimbursement to the department, and that money gets paid out. So that's the process we're looking to put in place. Anybody have any comments, questions, thoughts on any of that?
Austin, you mentioned that the state and their grant programs target the privately owned airports. With your state program update to align more closely with FAA project application cycle, are you also going to permit publicly owned airports to submit applications?
So that is an option, and I think that's something that I thought about a little bit. A large part of why the state funding program is open to the privately owned facilities because of their limited access to federal funds. There is we have discussed a little bit about doing a program that would allow the department to provide upwards of, I think, maybe $50,000 for maintenance types of projects to the publicly owned facilities. I think there are some labor laws that might restrict more on how much more we could give to the publicly owned facilities. But that's something that I think we're looking at and wanting to make sure that we provide everybody with the opportunity for funds, but also prioritizing, making sure that those that don't have access to certain types of funds have the priority where necessary. So.
Okay, good.
Any other comments, questions?
Okay, no other questions? Good. Item 2 under new business, Delaware UAS program research.
Okay, I will introduce Bruce Allen and Gina Elias to present on their work doing some research on the unmanned aircraft systems program within the states. So I'll pass the clicker down to you and let you navigate the slides.
Didn't want to run this thing, so let me just, oh, it works, okay, awesome. All right, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here among you all. This has been a research that we've been working on for like a month or so. And the unmanned aircraft system is basically a system that operates without a pilot on board, and it's used for many utilizations, including surveillance, cargo delivery, infrastructure inspection, emergency response, and many other operations. And it's part of a bigger concept called the Advanced Air Mobility, AAM, which is basically a broad ecosystem for safely integrating new types of air transportation. And it has a lot of components within, such as the eVTOLs, electric vertical takeoffs and landing aircraft, vertiports, heliports, UAS, aka drones, airspace management systems. To understand more about UAS, you need to know who puts the rules and who regulates what. So anything with aviation or aeronautics, of course, FAA is #1 authority and has the ultimate authority there. It's have exclusive jurisdiction over aviation safety, airspace efficiency, and aircraft flight operations. And if a state or a local government tried to regulate anything or attempt to regulate anything within these jurisdictions, FAA has ultimate authority to preempt these regulations. There are 2 types of preemptions under FAA that we've learned about, which is field preemption and conflict preemption. So for now, we're going to explain what field preemption is, and it's basically if FAA decided to fully occupy a regulatory area, state and local governments cannot regulate within this area, even if the regulations are similar or well-intended, because again, these jurisdictions fall only under FAA regulations. And example of this could be a city cannot ban a whole drone delivery from its whole entire jurisdiction. This is against FAA requirements. And also states cannot be setting its own altitude for UAS or drone usages. Even if it's within a higher proximity to the ground level, still states doesn't have the ability to do that. This moves us to the state. So state regulations, they can regulate on ground basis or ground-based level, but again, outside of aviation safety or airspace efficiency. And these limitations or restrictions, whatever they are, they have to have a proper cause. They have to underline the conflict. Why are you restricting drone deliveries, for example, from this area? And it has to be this way, so it's not conflict or doesn't conflict with FAA regulations, basically. And if it did, this is where conflict preemption comes into play. So conflict preemption occurs when a state or local law makes it impossible to comply with FAA regulation or makes it impossible to deliver on Congress and FAA objectives, which is basically more related to commerce or commercial deliveries. So an example to clarify this, if I'm the state and I passed a law, I cannot effectively prevent FAA authorized PBOS operations, even if it's for privacy reasons. If it's going to make it impossible make it impossible to comply with FAA regulation or make it impossible to do the drone deliveries within that geographic area. Again, a local restriction that blocks access to airspace that's needed for commercial UAS operations or services also falls under conflict preemption because it stands within the objectives of Congress and FAA. The local governments are so similar to the states. The only thing it's different from state to state, how much power or authority a state gives to a local government to base its rules or regulations regarding to UAS drones or any other technological new technology aviation operations. However, again, the same rule applies here. It cannot intervene or interfere with FAA regulations and objectives. They can still regulate within ground-based and land use matters, but it cannot intervene with what FAA has. So the baseline to sum all of this up is states and local governments can establish regulations and ground-based level regulations for new aviation technologies, but FAA has the authority over safety, airspace, and operations, and they also have the ultimate power that can override any conflicting laws with its own. So this is the reason why we did our research, which there's a new rule proposed in August 2025. It's called Part 108 and focuses mainly on beyond visual line of sight. So Part 108 is a proposed rule to standardize and scale beyond visual line of sight operations for UAS in the national airspace system. And it's aimed to replace what we have currently under Part 107 for PVLOS operations. There's another part for Part 107, there's another category for Part 107 that's VLOS, which is the visual line of sight operations. These will remain intact. It's not gonna be affected by Part 108. Part 108 is only responsible for PVLOS operations mainly. So what's the difference between the two? What we currently have under Part 107 and what's the proposed rule? This is also gonna explain a little bit of the objectives on the last screen. I highlighted these four. You are more than welcome to read all of it. But these four are mainly to set up the basic knowledge that we need to know for the upcoming 2 slides. Is gonna help facilitate the rest of the presentation. So PVLOS operations under Part 107 was prohibited except via waiver. What Part 108 is trying to propose is to make it more standardized, to make PVLOS operation more standardized through certification and operation envelopes. I'll explain what the envelopes mean here in a little bit. So the approval scope under Part 107 was per operator, aircraft, CONOP, and geographic area and per risk mitigation package. But what Part 108 is trying to do is to make it per operator and per system type. However, make it more reusable across multiple operations within the approved envelope that's submitted to FAA. So let's talk about the envelope a little bit just to make more sense to us. So geography and location. For every operation under Part 107, this was reviewed case by case and coordinated specific, and FAA reviews each polygon for every operation. However, what Part 108 is proposing to do is to make it categorization based on geography. So for example, I have a geographic area. I'm going to use what they're calling land scale USA, I think. USA, it's a data method that they use to measure the population density on the ground and classifying it into 5 categories. Very low, low, moderate, high, and very high. And based on these classification, they determine the amount of restrictions or limitations needs to happen or needs to be applied to PVLOS operations within that geographic area. However, because they know that this classification won't cover for ground risk mitigations, they also allow part of the envelope to for operators to submit what's called risk assessment measure. And this is, let's say I'm gonna operate in Rehoboth, okay? I know that Rehoboth, let's say it passes for category 3, which is moderate population density, but I know in the summer I have a lot of tourism in that place because of the beaches. So this is not going to change my population density, but it's going to affect my operation within that seasonal time. So it's that transient factor that I need to account for. It's a risk mitigation that I need to account for. So I'm gonna put this in the risk assessment. FAA has to know about it, and I will tell FAA, okay, this is what I'm planning to do to assess or to accommodate for this increase in population at this season or at that time. So FAA reviews it, it gives a check mark, it's good to go. After this, I do not have, as an operator, I do not have to go back case by case to fly any PVLOS operations over this geographic area. This sets the ground to talk about the next part, which is DOTs. What did DOTs do as soon as this proposed rule came to be? We had a 2-month period to submit any comments regarding to this new rulemaking, proposed rule, and it was summed up in the AASHTO letter, which Bruce is going to explain to
Yeah, and just a little bit more of context about this Part 108. part of that was in reaction to this emerging commercial drone delivery, which a lot of people in this room probably know more about that than I do, including Randall. But there's already many Amazon and Walmart and various parts of the country are already offering drone delivery. You can actually go on Amazon Prime and see whether it's available in your area or not. So this sort of broad certification, these new rules for beyond visual line of sight are part of that. I believe part of that reaction to this private development pressure to open up this technology to larger markets within the United States. So as Gina said, part of FAA's rulemaking process is they put out solicitations for comments from public agencies. So Austin, I believe, sent in as requested by AASHTO, which is American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials. Delaware submitted comments to AASHTO, and then AASHTO submitted a combined multi-state set of comments to FAA on this Part 108. And most of this letter, glad to get everybody a copy of it, was really from the state DOT perspective in terms of how we're operating drones. But many of the concerns that were brought up in this letter, I think, go beyond the state DOTs to the airport operators, to the general public and the land use agencies and municipalities. So as Gina mentioned, just to hide some highlights of some of the concerns that were brought up in this AASHTO response to FAA. As we mentioned, there were 5 population density categories that are being used to broadly classify UAS operation and operational environments. And the source for that was this tool called LandScan, which estimates static residential populations throughout the country. I'm not sure if they're using aerial photography interpolation or not, but one of the DOT's concerns with that is that these static representations of population don't take into account what we're calling transient highway traffic or work crews. So when we say transient highway traffic, you could have I-95 that is traversing through a very low density area, but still has incredible thousands of vehicles on that. But because it's in a low density area, that would be have more room for higher densities of actually these commercial drones. So that's kind of a sort of an inherent conflict there. And they also cited work crews as well that are working on highway projects. So as I just mentioned, that was one area that they want FAA to go back and look at and possibly supplement LandScan with some other geospatial resources that we believe more accurately reflect the ground risk of these beyond visual line of sight operations. The second one here, this permit shield operation, not necessarily a huge thing, but from the DOT's perspective, still a safety issue as well. And was this permit shield operation. The AASHTO letter said that the DOTs want that increased from 50 foot to 100 feet. So a typical scenario in this case might be that we're using drones to infrastructure asset inspection, bridge inspections. So again, the members of AASHTO thought that this would be just a safer buffer for this shield operation, permit shield operation based upon our current type of operations and doing those types of inspections. The other area, and I'd love for Randall to chime in on this as well too, they talked about remote pilot certification that AASHTO is recommending that all operators flying under Part 108 maintain the existing Part 107 remote pilot certification as a sort of a broad demonstration of operator competency, even if not formally required. It'll be interesting to see how FAA responds to that specifically, because probably from the private sector side, that's part of the attraction is having these large scale commercial drone operations delivery systems, is that you don't have to have necessarily this higher standard of operator competency to launch and operate those types of drones. So again, when we're done here, I'd love to hear some comments from people that have a lot more experience in this area than I do as to what they think, sort of the chances of this one particular comment submitted by AASHTO, how that might play out in the final rule that's going to be released next year. Steve, you give me an answer. And then, so part of what Gina and I are going to be doing is in anticipation. We don't know how these comments from AASHTO and other entities are going to be reviewed and incorporated into the final FAA rule. But we thought we want to be proactive and start looking at existing Delaware code as it relates to drones, which I think was last updated in 2016. So as you can see here are the relevant existing Delaware code that deal with actually UAS. And most of these are basically centered around where drones should be prohibited and privacy and nuisance rules. They really don't address, and they shouldn't address because it didn't exist at that time, large scale commercial operations of BVL, LOS drones. So what we're going to be doing, we've already reached out to FAA about this very issue, kind of what should the states be doing, what should we be looking at in regards to this anticipated rule change, Part 108. Kind of received a form response back from them that was saying all the comments, we're not taking comments on Part 108 anymore. Thank you very much. I don't think they understood our question quite right. So we're going to be following up with that a little bit more. But again, as I mentioned, we're going to be going back and as necessary, sort of cross-referencing existing Delaware code, Parts 107 code, and where that existing code might be impacted by this new rule, Part 108. But as an educational outreach, we're going to start coordinating some meetings. Part of DAAC is a big part of this, but also with our public safety representatives, DEMA, the industry, which is I view this group as representatives of the industry, and the land use agencies as well, because if these drone deliveries as one aspect of this new rule come into full fruition, a lot of people are going to be surprised that they don't own the airspace above their house. And Amazon, Walmart, other commercial entities, they are investing millions and millions of dollars into this new technology, into these new innovations. So they see that as a big part of their operations in the future. So the best that we can get out at the right time in advance of that and educate people that this is going to be kind of a paradigm shift, depending where you live and the population density of what you might be seeing flying around your neighborhood coming in the future. So we're going to be looking at, and we'll pass this by, obviously, the DAAC as well to review and we'll be consulting with our DelDOT attorneys, the legislature, some draft language amendments or superseding revisions that would go into the existing Delaware code. Then the last part on this is working with our law enforcement officials and the commercial operators to make sure that there's no misunderstanding about what rights drone operators have under Part 108 and how these new rights of depending upon what area they're operating in, how those new expanded operational rights might impact some of the Part 107, which is reflected in Delaware code. So a lot of coordination to be done as we anticipate the final rule. I'm not sure when the final rule is expected to be
No, they're not even finalized, the draft of
Okay,
the final draft of the rule is not even finalized yet, still under,
Right.
so I'm not sure, I think maybe 2027.
It'll be a while.
Yeah, it's a little.
while longer.
so it is a ways off, and
Yeah.
typically with any new federal rules that are being promulgated, they do give the state DOTs or states a cushion of time to react to those and adjust their own state laws accordingly. So I think we got one more final slide.
There it is, okay. Last time you're gonna hear from me, I promise. These are opportunities and potential implications for airports that we thought after several dive into different researches about this topic, we found that these are important to share with you. So first one, each of these have an implication and opportunity for airports. First one is education, but I also like to call it education, awareness, and workforce development. Because within the growth of this new technology that's for aviation operations like PVLS operations, it will require new skills and it will require another shared understanding and coordination across pilots, airport staff, operators, and also the communities around. So the opportunity here is for airports can act as an early educator, expand, if you have already a program established, expand that program, expand these existing training, safety briefings, and outreach programs to include emerging aviation technologies. And this is important because early engagement can prepare future pilots, operators, and airport staff. It could reduce confusion between traditional aviation and new operations, and it could build stakeholder and public confidence. The second one is the economic role. The implication, again, within this advancement in technology and integration, it may shift how airports function within regional economies, and it could position them as innovation, logistics, and testing centers. So airports can proactively attract drone or eVTOL companies, software maintenance, charging, and data service providers as well. And because airports already check a lot of the boxes, as we say, like from the technicality of compatibility to other things such as the FAA requirements, and all of this is going to be easier to establish vertiports or heliports within these, which is moving to the infrastructure and land use opportunities. It's a great opportunity for them to implement vertiports, heliports within the airport, and it's going to be a greater public acceptance because it's already an airport. People know that this is an airport where airplanes comes out from. It's better to have a heliport or a vertiport within an airport proximity than putting it in a green field in an urban area. It will have much more public acceptance. And another thing is the airspace and operational integration, which is basically within an increased low altitude activity via drones. It will introduce new operational consideration near airports, even if conflicts are not immediate. So airports can begin planning for new air traffic flows, especially during landing or takeoff times. And it could also coordinate with FAA tools such as LANS and evolving UTM concepts, low altitude authorization notification capability, or UAS traffic management. And again, this is all forward looking. It's nothing like an issue at hand. It's just a current safety, planning consideration and not a current safety or conflict that we're facing. It's just all for planning consideration. The last one, I don't have it on the screen, but I thought it's worth mentioning for airports to start thinking of updating their airport layout plans and master plans to include or be future-proof to include these emerging new technologies. And at the bottom, you're gonna see a contact. If you would like to have it, I can send it to you, or Austin, I think, is gonna send the presentation out. This is if you have a specific question regarding to airports, vertiports, heliports, or anything like that. This is from an FAA site and the source is at the bottom. And these emails are based geographically. So if you're outside of Delaware and wanna ask a question outside of this part of the geography on the United States, please check the website to get the appropriate context for it. And oops, wrong one.
Okay.
Sorry,
Any comments?
I keep going. Any questions?
I think the last slide was questions or comments.
Yeah, it was,
Comments, questions?
and it was not there.
I would love to hear anything from, or anybody from Delaware State, and I know, advanced air mobility is a big part of your future plans as well too. And what your thoughts are about kind of the potentialities of future economic expansion at some of our airports to accommodate
So-
this new way of delivering logistics and cargo.
I'm an ad hoc to
Yeah.
that.
I would, if I can, you know, if I can jump in, Bruce, you mentioned the Part 107 and Part 108 and keeping, you know, the Part 107 requirements, you know, licensing requirements and everything. So I am a certified Part 107 certificate holder, and the one thing I would say about it is in getting when you go through the training, the Part 107 training, you do learn all the rules. You do learn, you know, how you know, the airspace works and all of that kind of thing. The one thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't give you any practice in actually operating a drone. So, you know, I mean, you could know everything, but still not be very good at operating a drone when you have a certificate. So, you know, a lot of that just is practice and that kind of thing. So, but I do think, I think it would be important to have all the knowledge, you know, the operators should have all the knowledge that you have, you know, in getting certified as a Part 107 to go into the 108. I would definitely support that.
That's it. I don't know what the perspective of FAA was by not including that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know, my guess is when it gets to a corporate level, you know, it's like if you talk to a pilot of an airline pilot, basically I mean, although they are flying the plane, they're really not flying the plane. They're going through a series of procedures, and you know, they've got checklists and they go through that and so forth, and the plane sort of does, you know, kind of flies itself as they go through. And yes, there are times that they need to take control when they're landing and taking off and so forth. But bottom line is most of it is routine. And I think they believe that that routine is going to take over Part 108 as well. And that it's going to be, you know, there's going to be a lot of computer control over, you know, routes and airways and all the rest. That's my guess.
Yeah, so I'm not leading the charge as it pertains to Del State and the AM, but I do know if I can speak for Dr. Devdeep Modi, who's leading the charge, you know, really looking to become somewhat of a staple and kind of spearheading the initiative in the AM in Delaware along, and then looking to build some sort of a conglomerate between Delaware, New Jersey, and the other tri-states where, you know, we have solidified AM kind of task force and group that's really looking to develop the AM in the area. And so we've talked about, you know, potential opportunities with so much happening in Philadelphia in 2026, 250 FIFA World Cup, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so looking at opportunities for AAM as it pertains to those events at, you know, airports in the area.
Fantastic.
And I'm a member of that group also.
Yep.
Yeah. This is Bob Bryant. You know, with regards to air mobility operations, the carriage of, or the carrying of passengers in drones to and from the Delaware Coastal Airport, we're just waiting to be told what to do. You know, where do we paint the X with the D in the middle of it? You know, can we get a state grant for the, you know, plug-in recharger?
Right.
I'm more curious, and we kind of hinted on this, that once the public begins to start seeing these deliveries of cargo or Amazon delivered type products, or, you know, the pizza that I order, you know, usually once a week from Domino's, and I want it delivered to my house. Bruce had hinted about Amazon, going on Amazon Prime and determining and selecting a drone delivery. Well, right now, Amazon is still pretty limited to where they're delivering.
Yes.
But when you think about Amazon distribution centers that are already in Delaware, there's a new one being built in Salisbury, Maryland, which is just down the road from Georgetown. Walmart is probably gonna get into this type of delivery stuff. Domino's Pizza will. I went on Amazon Prime's page and pulled up drone delivery options, and there's really only 7 steps that you, the buyer of the product, has to follow. And those steps are to select, and I'm reading this right off of Amazon's page, to select your drone delivery area. Number 1, add a drone delivery eligible item to your shopping cart. Number 2, proceed to checkout, which I'm going to assume checkout includes your home address. Number 3, select drone delivery as your shipping option. Number 4, if you're a first-time user, you will see a map of your property with up to 3 delivery area options, which I assume are gonna be on your property. They're not gonna drop your, delivery at your next door neighbors or at the Delaware Coastal Airport, where you have to go pick it up. Number 5, select your preferred delivery area and select continue and use this delivery area. Number 6, if there's an issue with the drone delivery area, select report an issue option below your property map. And I'm going to assume that the report of an issue is going to be submitted or sent to you by Amazon or whoever is going to look at your property map and determine whether or not there are eligible places to be able to operate this drone. If your property's wide open and free of trees and obstructions, selecting 3 potential drop sites is going to be pretty easy. If your property is in a densely wooded area, it's not going to happen until you cut down some trees and create a landing zone. And then number 7, complete your order. And what's interesting is they have a note here. It says, when your package is ready to be delivered via drone, you'll be notified. You don't need to be there for the drone delivery, but please make sure that the delivery area is clear of people, pets, and objects.
And quicksand.
I guess it's gonna be that easy because, Randall, I thought at one time, you as the property owner may have to submit a 7480 form to the FAA identifying a specific drone landing site on your property. Apparently, that's not the case.
Well, I think what's going to happen is they won't land. What they will do, these things are on a cable, and they'll just simply run the cable down and then release it on your property, basically.
But even with that, there's probably gonna have to be some type of
Screening
clear
process,
zone
yeah.
that the drone operator is gonna have to be assured that, there's probably gonna have to be some type of a minimum clear zone area where they can
yeah.
I don't know how they're assessing kind of the deliverability
Yeah.
of the package. What data are they using?
Yeah,
Is it just simple aerial imagery
right.
from, so?
But something this simple, there's nothing that's stopping
I mean,
them
it's here and
from
now.
the Walmart down the street here to start launching these things off the rooftop of Walmart
Right.
or the rooftop of Domino's Pizza to deliver my
It's
pizza.
brilliant because the first big paradigm shift with Amazon was when they stopped using the United States Postal Service and deployed their own fleet. And then you could get something within 1 or 2 days. Now, now, depending upon your location, you can get something within 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so the amount of money as you said, I mean, they're investing, it's here and now.
I read an article that said, I think 30 or 40% of CVS, Walgreens pharmacy packages are less than, 2 or 3 pounds. So that's coming too.
Right, that's a good point. So as you said, the rules are being laid, that all the services is already available in certain parts of the country, and are people gonna sort of be shell shocked when it starts hitting their neighborhoods? Because I
Yes.
think people, there's this kind of assumption of some amount of vertical privacy above your property, but they're really, what is it, 400
400 feet.
400 feet.
Yeah.
So
Well,
will this
actually,
be a public image relations disaster or not? But I'm sure Amazon is, they're a big company, so they've looked into these things. Sorry, Rob, you have something to say?
I was just gonna say, actually, there's a myth that we own the airspace up to a certain level. FAA owns all the airspace above ground, and they're the ones that actually control it. And I mean, some is called uncontrolled airspace, but they still FAA has the jurisdictional run of what who's in charge of the airspace.
One of my, I don't know, somebody more knowledgeable than I can, many of the airports in Delaware the private airports are in low density population areas, which would be deemed under this new Part 108 as amenable to higher densities of drones. Somebody like, again, who has more knowledge than me, what is the air traffic control?
Okay, I can speak to that. This is Lasan.
Thank you.
Okay, the FAA doesn't own it. Dover Air Force Base in a 360 radius owns up to 7,000 feet from the ground to 7,000.
And what's the radius of that? I mean, how much of that?
We could go
covers-
around, I'll just say 60-mile circumference.
How many miles?
60.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I
60.
have my tonsils out, so I can't talk.
It's for 77 surfaces.
So you're not gonna have drone deliveries over Dover, are you?
Well, I don't know how they will program them to go around the class.
Are those the R-77 surfaces you're
No.
talking about, the 60-mile radius?
We're just talking about the airspace that Dover controls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
because the center, the
there's not
FAA,
private planes already flying through that.
yes, but we control them. Dover Air Traffic Control RAPCON
Okay.
owns them. Up to 7,000 feet.
Good luck.
Then the FAA, Philadelphia owns above us. We split it also with not Baltimore, DCA, Washington Center.
That's air traffic control, but you don't
Right.
own airspace. You control.
Yeah, we do own 0 to 7,000 AGL in a 360 circumference.
Is that
We
Class B?
control the traffic down to almost Salisbury. And to the east, Atlantic City, we hand them off there. I'll have to send you guys pictures if I
I think we're
still.
talking about something. We're talking about something different. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah, you're not gonna prohibit drones from beyond site drones delivering my pizza at my house on the outskirts of Dover.
no,
you're not
we're
gonna-
not going to do that.
Right. You
But you
can-
got to watch the Class A and B airspace that Dover does own within that
You may-
center. It's going to be weird.
you manage the air traffic in that area.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You don't own the airspace. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they do own the airspace. You're missing what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
They
what would be
do
the
own all the
interaction?
airspace. We are controlling everything.
So what would the interaction have to be between the drone operator and the aircraft system,
Well,
operation systems?
Well, it's probably almost like your VFR. We don't have to talk to everyone. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No.
Somehow you'll have to get Dover Air Force Base involved in these decisions.
Well, I think that's, as we discussed too, part of our next steps with a lot of this are to engage more of the stakeholders in these conversations, right? And obviously, I think I'll
Yeah.
kind of cap our presentation with, that's why we're presenting on this to you all today is, you all are an important part of how we move forward with, looking at what updates to state code, things like that should happen. And so, please, as if you have feedback, thoughts, comments, share them with us. We wanna make sure that
Yeah,
they get.
because I'm even worried about the low level routes that we were talking to pilots that fly 500 and below playing war.
Right.
So we'll have to see what's the future holds for Delaware and this UAS.
Right.
Absolutely. Any other comments?
My understanding was that the Class D airspace was for airports with towers, and that goes from the ground up and usually has about a 5 mile circumference.
Yeah, the
Or,
tower does. Yeah,
yes,
that's the tower.
tower.
Now, after
Yes.
that, after the 5 mile radius, it's Dover Rapcon
Right.
radar approach control.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Okay.
That's different. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And
Could I bring
Salisbury has a tower too, so yep, it's gonna be weird.
Chair, could I bring something else up in new business?
Sure.
Lassans and I are members of the Delaware Aviation Hall of Fame. And it's for people in Delaware that have achieved something credible in Delaware, in aviation. And to be perfectly honest, we're out of money. And at our last meeting, Lassans just stepped down as president. We thought about coming to DAAC and asking for some sort of money. We'd be happy with anything. But we were thinking about it because the only source of revenue we have is donations from the board members or from our banquet, or if somebody would like to donate money to us. So got thinking, Lassans and myself and the other board members, maybe something we could talk to you all about. Talk to the board about. So.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we can discuss further.
And,
Yeah, it's a 501c3, so we can't, you see what I mean? Have a lot of money.
Could have
But
written a proposal together and submit it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
No guarantees, but that's the
Sure.
start.
But we need something to keep that organization going. Yeah. So.
Right.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up under new business? Let's go ahead and move on to item 4, individual member updates. And Liddy, if you can call the names, we'll go around the table and internet.
Okay, start with Jeff.
Laurel, nothing new, nothing to report. We have a big snow event coming, so we got our plow ready for Greenwood, for Corman. We'll be starting as soon as we get the paper signed here with DelDOT, we'll be starting and it snow melts. We'll be starting with the clearing there on the north end, which is gonna be tremendous. Also, October 17th is our fly-in / air show this year. We're kind of up their game a little bit. So, gonna have an air show. Yeah, that's about it.
Calvin?
Not too much report. Semester started for us last week, last Monday. And so you'll see our aircraft in here consistently starting next Tuesday-ish.
Awesome.
Still looking for a full-time AMP if anybody knows him.
Can't have mine.
Sure we don't pay enough.
Richard, do you have any updates?
Oh, sorry, I don't think he can. Okay, you should be able to speak now.
Richard, do you have any updates?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I have no updates. Thank you very much.
Robert Bryan?
Down south at the Delaware Coastal Airport, we did receive and accepted FAA grants for the next phase of construction of our multi-phase, multi-grant taxiway project. We did have some good news from the FAA. on the remaining half of that project. They are trying to apply enough money to the last half of the project to be able to design and offer a construction grant under a single grant, as opposed to a separate grant for design, a separate grant for that construction, and a third grant for the remaining third or half of that construction. So that's good news. If that all works out well, we may be able to push other capital improvement projects 3 years ahead of schedule than what they're showing on our current FAA CIP. Other than that, we're just, fingers crossed so we don't get slammed too hard this weekend. We've got our snow removal equipment available also. Sussex County is limited on the type of equipment we have. It's basically 3 pickup trucks with a 6-foot plow blade on the front of it. So chances are likely that we will be closed for many hours, several days, and waiting for Mother Nature to warm up and help melt some of the 6-foot snow banks that we anticipate we're gonna have all around the pavement edges at the airport. So, but it is what it is. So that's it for us.
Jeremiah Hardy?
Nothing new to report, just the same, getting ready for Snowmageddon here on this weekend.
Ms. LaSange Alexander, do you have any updates?
It's just Lassans or LL. I have nothing to report, and I hope you guys stay safe. I'm in St. Bart's right now.
She's where?
St. Bart's. Place to be.
Lucky, yeah. That's great.
Randall, you expect to get all the snow in Kentucky too?
Yes, we do. We're gonna take the brunt of it and can report to you then as to how much you're going to get.
Front lines.
They're saying 14 inches. I don't know if that's correct or not, but
What? Okay.
that's the prediction right now.
Okay, Lieutenant Farnsworth, do you have any updates for Matt?
No, I did not.
Nick Ryan is not on. So,
No, he's not, sorry.
Ben, do you have any updates?
So for Delaware River and Bay Authority, big news for us at Wilmington Airport at ILG of Velo made an announcement of restructuring their network based on some recapitalization. And so the good news for Wilmington, for the state of Delaware, is Wilmington Airport was named as a focus city for them. And so that's good in a sense where we expect continued growth at the airport with Avelo. Last year, we passed 160,000 employments. And so this is all tying in great for what we're doing. And I'll announce we just got our C of O to open up our new terminal expansion beginning tomorrow morning. And so a great area will open up. That's another 6,000 square feet with 2 gate doors. So we're really excited about that project.
You need more parking.
Well, we need more money too. So
Yep.
we never have enough parking. So,
I know.
We've got 1,300 spaces, but we mustered through the holiday season. We did raise rates back in November for the first time in 3 years. And that was a good chance. Parking was still in high demand. And so I will, when we talk about federal dollars, FAA released the final year of the ATP program. We've got some identified projects we want to keep building on the terminal, at least for those dollars. Unfortunately, we got news today. They put a deadline instead of just a date, a time limit. So we're going to appeal. We got it just a little bit beyond that time limit that was added. We'll appeal that and try to get leverage more federal dollars. And so all good news for Wilmington as we expect continued air service to grow for the state. And, we are in Avelo's growth plans, which is good. Lastly, for the Dover airports for Delaware Park, we are waiting for a C of O to open up our new conventional bank hangars that we built late last year. They're 58 by 58. So once we get that C of O, we're out putting feelers for demand for those. And lastly, for any projects down there, we'll be doing an obstruction removal project beginning once the weather clears to start working on that. And then we're working with Kelvin in Delaware State for their capacity needs as they try to grow that program moving forward. So that's it.
Cool.
Perfect. Is that it for member
Anyone else who
updates?
missed? Yeah, there was everyone.
Good deal. Do we have any public comments? Anybody from the public want to make a comment? Next item is the date for our next meeting, April 15th, 2026. I trust nobody has any issues with that date.
Peyton will be here. What do we have to do to make him my alternate?
Just let us know.
Okay.
If you can send us an email address. Oh, thanks.
Motion to close
Make a
tonight's
motion.
meeting.
Jeff will make a motion.
Jeff made the motion to close. Can I have a second?
Lozano, second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed and want to keep the meeting going?
Bye.
The
Retail,
ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
everybody have a good night. Take care. Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Safe travel.